Welcome to a brand new podcast, Little Warriors, a podcast focusing on children's mental and physical health. I'm your host, Rebecca Horan, and on episode 2, I'm talking to Cara O'Loughlin, a life coach specialising in disordered eating. I've lots to chat to the brilliant Cara O'Loughlin about. But before we get into it, thanks to Lupilu by Lidl for supporting Little Warriors. I never miss an opportunity to get into Lidl to stock up for so many bits for my kids, especially because my youngest is still in their Lupilu nappies and they've got the Lupilu biodegradable water wipes and the pants right up to size 7 as well. And do make sure to keep an eye on the Lidl Plus app for regular offers on the Lupilu range. And thanks again to Lupilu by Lidl for supporting the podcast. Right, let's get into it. On this episode, I'm very happy that this dear friend of mine, I'm actually honoured, has joined me to have this conversation because I trust what she has to offer us. I love the work that she's doing, and I often just send her rambling voice memos about the fears that I have in raising my little girls. So welcome to the podcast, Cara O'Loughlin. I was saying to her, I always call her Cara, I poshen it up, but it's Cara O'Loughlin, which is posh enough, living intuitively with Cara. Yeah. All over Instagram and running beautiful retreats and raising 3 children herself, and has a lot to say in the space of disordered eating disorders. I know that there's many different terms, body dysmorphia, and everything that we're processing, our little kids are processing regarding food and eating. And you are just brilliant at what you do. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. I'm so happy to be here. Nervous but excited.
Nervous, never.
Yeah.
She's running around. She's running her own brilliant talks, webinars. I'm always like encouraging people, and then I'm like, I need to make it to one of these. They're so excellent because she's informing and empowering people to make better decisions, and even how we talk about food in our home, talk about our bodies. I think it's a little bit of a dirty subject, like it is a worry, isn't it? And we can't help it because you know what's happened, it's been drummed into us since we were little, and now we're coming out with the same stuff.
I always say to people that little ears are listening.
Yeah.
And that our kids absorb everything that we say, but it's not just the words, like they actually absorb way more by our body language and how, you know, I mean, our kids will see us look in the mirror and go, oh, I can't wear this, I have to change it. Both girls and boys. And I think I've mentioned to you before, like I had a woman come with her daughter as young as the age of 6, which is so frightening. Yeah. And, you know, it's not just what parents are doing. Like, we can't blame ourselves, but it's in society, like, it's called diet culture. And it's scary. It's been around forever, but it's getting worse and worse.
But if you're not, like, I would have grown up in a generation where mothers mainly would say, oh, I'm fat, I need to lose weight, I must start that diet again, I've cellulite, I can't get into that swimsuit for holidays. And not just my mum, I'm not just picking on her, like aunties, like people.
Yeah.
And I think we're getting better, we're not there yet, at saying, I'm going to say nothing, my child is watching me, I'm going to try on the clothes, take it off, if I don't like it, move on, not prod and poke. However, we still have a massive issue with messaging, and yet my daughter will still talk about parts of her body, or that doesn't fit me, and so it's still there. And like you're saying, it's societal, or is it that it's subconscious in me? If I have an issue with my body, she knows I do. And
yeah, I think
subliminal.
It is like in one way societal, because when you mention your aunties and your mum, that they were the only people that you were in contact with, whereas now we're in contact with so much more. You know, like if you think about someone who's 13, 14, 15, a lot of them have phones. So it's not just their mum and their aunties, it's, you know, their friends online, it's even on video games what they're talking about. You know, they're not just talking about what they did that day, they're talking about, did you see that latest reel or that latest TikTok story? And for not just for women, like for men as well, I go to schools, secondary schools, and I give talks on disordered eating and intuitive eating, and I ask them to put up their hands and say, like, what percentage of your feed is fitness influencers, is bigomorphia, or whatever that you know, to be bigger is. And half of them, if not 3/4, would say 85%. And these kids are in 4th year, so they're only 15 and 16. So it is societal, like it's obviously personality as well. Because the kids that will have will be more sensitive, more vulnerable. We've spoken about our daughters. More, you know, perfectionist and type A.
Yes.
They are the ones that we all need to watch.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. Well, I think like it's really important that we remember that if we have never got any proper help, you know, by somebody who's either an expert in this field or who's been through it themselves, we kind of do just coast along. Like one thing I found about eating disorders and disordered eating. Like eating disorders are, okay, the ones that are DSM recognised, like your anorexia, your bulimia, your binge eating disorder, and soon to be orthorexia. But disordered eating is, you know, people who are constantly trying a fad diet, who fall off the wagon, who go round and round and round in circles and will never be that happy with themselves.
Wow.
They really still do need help. And I think it's help with somebody who's either been through it before or an expert help, because we could beat ourselves up for the body we live until we're 90. But often I say to my clients when they come in, I'm like, do you want to take this to your grave? Like, do you want
my
to be
God,
80?
say that again. Okay,
Yeah.
hang on, because that actually really hits me. And I do that a lot. I'm like, are you going to still bemoan your body at 62, 71? And I know that's that awful, stupid Instagram meme of like, you look back at the pics of yourself at 20 and you're like, I was okay. I was great.
Yeah.
I was beautiful.
Yeah.
I was vibrant and energetic. Why did I take myself apart for 10 years? And I'm doing it in the next decade. So say that again. Do we want to take this
to our grave? I have a
Can't.
client who's 79, like 79.
That's
and
heartbreaking.
it's so sad because she has been on every single diet you could imagine. Weight Watchers, Noom, is that a new one, I think? Keto, paleo. She loses the weight at the beginning and then puts it back on, inevitably, because 98% of diets plus fail. And that's a given fact. But
even, sorry, like absolutely brilliant stat there. But even if they don't fail, they will in the aftermath. So there's an initial, there is that initial high of like, I did, and I'm not going to name the things, but I did this thing. I went to the group and I lost Rebecca. I've lost 3 stone. And you're like, oh my God.
Yes, yeah.
But it's all, unless you have a balanced viewpoint on how to live your life or have a lifestyle that is going to be fitting with the good eating habits, you're always going to fail.
Yeah, and the sad thing there is, let's say you are the girl who loses the weight, and even if it's a couple of pounds, and let's say their kids are with them and they constantly hear other people say, oh my God, you look great if you lost weight. Kids hear that and they think, I have to be good. I'm only good enough if I have lost weight.
Like, only attractive.
Yeah. Now, I will say one thing, and this is not blowing my own trumpet, but my girls have no idea that anything to do with body shape or weight, nothing. And like,
that is a massive achievement.
Yeah. Well, one is 10, one is 7, and then we have a boy who's 4. But it wasn't always that way. Like, I could have followed a different route, because when my oldest, who's 10, Darcy, was about 4, let's say anything from 0 to 4, I was still in my own kind of head. I wasn't fully free. I was nearly recovered, but I wasn't fully free. I was scared of any party with sugar. You know, she was kind of hanging around the table waiting to get the jellies because she was restricted at home. And, you know, she could have gone down a very different route, and she may still, because she's incredibly sensitive, very perfectionistic, as I said, very vulnerable. But everything I'm doing in the home is trying to protect her as much as I can. And another thing, I know you've had somebody else in the podcast that you mentioned about the phone. I think it is really important that as mums and as dads, that we do know that we do have the power and the control to say no. Like, mine will not get a phone till they're 16. And again, it's not blowing a trumpet, but I can see.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, I do.
I've had a few parents on who are absolutely fantastic, or a few people on podcasts in the past that I've done, Cara, and these are wonderfully educated, smart people, but they've said, look, Rebecca, what you do if everyone else in the class has one at 11, you have to give it, you know, you don't want your kid being bullied. And I'm like, are we doing this? Are we letting her wow to you? Like, I'm the same, and I am a 40-something-year-old who got on Instagram at 35. So if I'm going to be addicted, that's my issue, right? And I do a lot of it for work and stuff, but I'm not giving my kid a grenade. I love that you've said that. I feel there's a massive fear of like, my kid will be isolated if she doesn't have a phone. I don't care. Well, there was a great, is it Brezzy and his girlfriend, she is Louise, she's brilliant. Psychologist. She's brilliant. And they go around Greystones in different parts, I think in South Dublin, and do It Takes a Village. And my friend was at one of the talks, and she said, I was so disappointed I couldn't go. I was teaching yoga, and she said, do you know, it was really harrowing, but what came out of it is they said, you have to find your tribe. As parents, you need to find your tribe, as in the people who are doing it in the class. And like, my kind of comment to somebody who said, oh, but they'll be left out, I'm like, okay, it's either that or give them a lifetime of mental health issues. Yes, and it's too young. Yeah. Like,
if you look like at our parents, and I don't know about yours, but my dad, like when he's going anywhere, he doesn't have, like he has a he doesn't have a smartphone. He has a Nokia. Okay. No, he must have one because he has WhatsApp, but he never uses it. He never comments back to any of our family things apart from nice pictures.
Oh, saying, Dad, no
Google Maps.
Dad?
He was an auctioneer and developer all his life, and he even, when they're doing the valuations, he used his steps. Like still, and people were just laughing, going, there's things to do that, there's apps. Didn't go near them. He wouldn't walk around with a coffee. He'll go into a coffee shop. I've never seen him have a takeaway coffee. So what's changed is just, it is society, and I think it's not going to change fully back, but how can we kind of protect our kids with all this madness going on? It's just
and how is Darcy aware of this decision?
Oh, like she is absolutely allergic to phones.
Go on.
I think, because I would say comments like, oh, what we mentioned earlier is that kids coming out of school, they're in a group of 4 or 5 and they're all on their phones. And I'm like, how antisocial? And she's like, I know that's so bad for them because you never know.
Amazing.
So you just keep saying it.
Reinforcing.
Yeah, and I think that, like, honestly, and I know we're talking about phones, but anything that takes you outside of yourself, like sometimes when I just put my feet on the ground and I repeat to myself, I'm okay. How often do we do that? Whereas we go straight to, looking outside of ourselves. And one of the girls said on the retreat that I feel great because I've eaten really well, I've moved my body, blah, 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 really. The main thing, she said, is that I didn't go on Instagram. And she said that she felt so good from not scrolling an hour at night. And we've all done it. And I've seen what happens with clients is they scroll and then they go to the cupboard. Like they literally will go and overeat because they feel so shit about themselves.
Shut
I hope
up.
I can say that. Yeah.
I do think there's a mindlessness in it, isn't there? It's something this morning, I was listening to Mel Robbins on the Lewis about decisions that we make. And I was very tired yesterday. I mean, it's a great excuse, but I was really tired yesterday. I didn't know why, sleep or whatever. And I didn't eat dinner properly last night, and I had just 2 packs of small Haribos.
Yeah.
And then I had an apple, all sugar stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And then I had some fizzy, I can't remember what I did, but everything was just, I knew wasn't great for me, right? Mm-hmm. It's not about bad foods. It just it wasn't nourishing. I didn't have my lovely veg. I'm really good at my cooking, but I felt like absolute shit going to bed. And I felt even shitter waking up, like I'd been on 10 pills at a night, like I honestly felt like I'd been out, but it was purely because with 2 children, fed myself just a bunch of sugar. And I don't even know if that's an Instagram based thing, but that's so interesting that you're saying there's a lot of dangers in our apps.
Well, if you think about it with anything on the phone, when you're looking it up on a smartphone, don't they say it's a dopamine hit? And then you're looking for the dopamine hit somewhere else, so you're going to the sugar. And then I wonder, was it just the sugar that made you feel crap, or your head beating yourself up for having it?
Oh, it's 3 tiers.
Sometimes it's like, just let it go now. I went to my phone for too long. Tonight I'm going to sit down and watch Bad Sisters with my husband. Do you know?
Okay.
So it's because you're not comparing there. Okay, you could compare it to an actress, but it's not the same as, oh my God, she's doing more than me. And we all do it. I do it too. Like
you're very disciplined.
But I still have that. There are still times where I don't feel enough. Like if I see somebody and I think, how is she 10 years younger now? And she has more people on her retreat. It's in her
and
psyche.
She's teaching, and she did that thing. I know that, look, and you're in a whole space, an incredible space that blew up, 5-10 years ago in Ireland, this health and wellness space, and you are carving your path here, right, which is phenomenal. But there's also loads on that path. So that is hard, much like what I'm doing. It's hard to find your feet. And I do think the beauty in that is you're you and no one else. Like, what's the Winnie the Pooh thing? You can only, there is no other you, right? So I can go on about all the wonderfully, brilliantly talented broadcasters or podcasters or how many followers they get, but there's only me doing my little thing over here. Yeah. But you are disciplined, Cara, yeah?
I am disciplined, but I'm laughing when you said, oh, she's the most zen. Not always at home.
I feel like you're very zen.
No, but I think everybody has to hear that no one is perfect. Like I remember I used to go to a teacher, Tanny Fournier, I think her name was. She was from Canada and she was fab. And this was in my days that I didn't love my body and blah, blah, blah. And I remember looking at her and going, oh my God, I'd say she's so perfect now. And she eats perfectly and she doesn't drink alcohol. She doesn't drink coffee. And you have this whole story in your head. Yeah. And then we went for lunch and I was like, oh wow, she eats crisps. Oh wow, she has cheese. Funny. This is amazing. She's normal. And now, she's a wine. What is it when somebody goes and
sommelier?
That's what she is.
Love it.
She's like,
she's a booze hound. That's all she is, Cara.
She's a yoga teacher and a sommelier. I just think that is absolutely brilliant.
But you had her in this kind of like pious, she's just sitting around, smelling incense and of course, Cara, like I think you're amazing, but you're lose it or you're not always zen and all that. But I'm just saying your energy is very important to be around, because I'm a high energy gal, but yet I'm an introvert. Like I really need to be on my own a lot and listen to things and read. But when I'm in my work mode, so when I meet you with your energy, you take me down, and that's really important because I need to level and you come up a little bit and we all meet.
Yeah.
So you have an incredible energy, which you bring to your retreats.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? This is, so if anybody said to me, what is your goal? What is your mission? And I just put one up on Instagram, like, you know, where I came from to where I am now, is that 5 years ago, or was it 6 years ago? 6 years ago, because Finn, our smallest, is 4. I was in a school working for 11 years as a secondary school teacher.
Yes, of course.
And I was like, the school was fab. Like, it's a beautiful school in Dublin. But I was miserable because I was like, I am not using my talents. I was telling myself I wasn't creative. And I was miserable and I was in a really bad place. And then we had a third baby, and I definitely did it on purpose.
You were like, get me out.
Yeah. And then COVID hit, and I was like, I have no more excuses. Like, I was driving across that school for 5 years, absolutely miserable. And I said, okay, I'm leaving the school. Now, I was a yoga teacher already then, but I decided to go back and do life coaching. And I was like, it is our mindset. Like, we can do anything we put our mind to. I say it to my kids as well. But I really kept my mission and my goal at the forefront. What is it that I want to do? And I'd always wanted to help other people not have to go through the years that I did, and particularly teenagers, because mine started at 15. And, you know, a massive age for a girl or a boy, like the boys, I think it's 1 in 4 now, which is really scary.
That is really scary.
Yeah. But a massive thing is change and hormones, obviously. So the main age, like it can start, as I said, at 6, and we're seeing a lot of 9-year-olds, but it's mainly 12 to 15. So what's that? Secondary school, going into secondary school is a massive change, coupled with hormones. You have your junior cert, your leaving cert. They are really, really important ages. And that's when people are getting a phone. So I just want that to land with parents, is that you're doing nothing wrong, but if there's any way that you can protect your kids from all of those things, know that they're already dealing with an awful lot.
So Darcy goes into school and she's in 4th year, 5th year, whatever, and all of her friends have a phone. Say 20 have one except 3. How do you feel about that?
Like, to be honest, I think the main thing for me would be like, you can have a brick. Like, I got a brick when I was 18.
Yeah, so she can have a basic to text mom.
Text mom and dad, or text her friend. And, you know, we're already seeing it with cousins that are definitely, you know, on the outside of people. Yeah. But I just think it's really important to keep building them up. And if they have those friends that are in their tribe, you know, that don't have them as well. And I know a few mums whose kids are hopefully going to the same school who would be very strict on it as well. Now, I do think that, unfortunately, the generation that are there now are the guinea pigs. I really do feel that.
That's what Coleman Octor, he said we have a lost generation of the kids who did the COVID and who were just completely, he feels like they're messed up, and he's like, and they're all addicted and they're past it, but we have now a chance to regain some of this time, like these people back. And I said, what? And he goes, it's a lost generation. I said, please don't say that. He goes, Rebecca, it is. Yeah. And he says, like, let's just get our shit together.
Yeah.
Because we're abusing. He's like, it is neglect and abuse. He's like, you know, and he said, you'll often find if a couple separates, right, and the kids are being, you know, really well looked after throughout that holistically, and they're working through that, and there's maybe therapy, and they're trying to keep everyone safe and protected, you'll find one of the parents might go, well, I'm going to give them the smartphone. Yeah. Because maybe there's a little bit of a, like, gifting, competitive, like, I want her to know I love her. And she really wants one. So I'm going to give her that, and we'll go on this big holiday, and then mama can do her thing. And therein lies the problem. If you ain't on the same team and you're going to 2 different households to be, you know, raised, he said that is also a bit of a problem at the moment. You have to align, like you're saying, your values. And same with Jason, they very strongly align with anti-phone, but imagine they didn't.
I know. But then I suppose, you know, you marry somebody because your values are aligned. You're not the same person.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have known when you married them. They were addicted to flipping Instagram, would you? I mean, he's just like, can you put it down there, love? Yeah. I'm loving you saying you have discipline. You obviously promote your business, which is highly important for your income and for your growth and your work, right? And you do promote it, but you're not, on it all the time. You're not addicted. You're not sharing, what peanut butter sandwich you had. Like, you are very disciplined in your work.
It's hard though with the phone, isn't it? Because a lot of your work is on your phone, as in on Instagram promoting anyway. Like admin wise now, I try to be a bit better with going on my laptop. But there are days that I'm like, I have to be on my phone to get back to these people.
Or to sell tickets, or to you have to be.
I do try and do it for the most part away from the kids, but that doesn't happen all the time. Like last night, myself and my husband were watching Bad Sisters together, because we never watch anything together. I'm not great at nighttime. And he was on his phone just texting or whatever.
Dual screening.
Yeah, and I just said, will you put that down? And I said, like, you're not even watching. He was like, and instead of giving out, which I thought he might be like, stop nitpicking, he was literally like, no, you're right.
Because you don't
notice it.
No, and I do think you're right. Instead of being aggressive, like, I was on your phone, it's sometimes good to call people out. Like, a friend of mine, Colin, who I work with, always goes to me, what's your screen time?
Oh, yeah.
And I go, I'm fucking... And it's like he's looking at my underwear drawer. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm not telling you. And he's like, basically, I want to see your knickers. I'm like, I'm not telling you, because give me your phone. And he'll be like, 7 hours? I'm like, oh my God, like every day. And he'll be like, I'm on 2 or 3 because I'm nice and balanced. I'm like, even that seems a lot.
I know, 7. And
I know, that's my upload
probably,
and editing, but still not okay.
Yeah.
But Jason will go, are you watching? And I go, yeah, are you watching it?
Yeah.
And it's great. Call people out and they're bullshit.
Yeah. But it is really hard. And especially you have a business that you are trying to get things sold, or even to just put yourself out there, It's
addictive.
Yeah. Yeah.
In our homes, and I talked to you about this recently, it was a little bit of a thing, talking about a child that my daughter knew who was being called bigger, and she was too heavy to do something, and fat and all the words. And my child didn't really understand what was going on there, because she's still quite young. And then we're talking about in the home, that's bad food, and that's the treat box, and you only get that if you do this, and the reward system that we do with treats. And you sent me such a beautiful message back, how you were like, we had a funky day. We had a cupcake, a tea, we had a few jellies, but we also had like some peppers and hummus and carrots. And then and it was this feeling of flow with it.
Yeah.
Because if you restrict your children,
they're going to be obsessed. I mean, I have a webinar that I do maybe 3 times a year. One was in person, but it's on raising intuitive eaters and how to kind of end the generational cycle of this obsession with body and relationship with body image. And a lot of what I talk about is that the more you restrict anything in your life and your children, the more they're going to want it. And it came from... I mean, there's other people running it as well, but it came from that some of my clients would come. Now, I don't take kids under 16, but I work with their parents. And that the parents were finding wrappers in the children's room, or wrappers in their bag. Like, basically, they were hiding food, okay? And that, like,
I have a kid who hides sweets in her room.
Yeah, but it's not that there's something wrong. But sometimes I would say...
She knows I'm going to give out to her.
Oh, well, sometimes I would say to them, I mean, there's a few things. She might have just been hungry and forgot to tell you, or you were downstairs doing something else, and she was like, it's comfortable upstairs, I'll bring them. But the other thing is, I would always say to the parent, just turn the mirror on yourself for a minute in a really loving, compassionate, non-shameful way, and ask yourself, are you restricting sweet stuff in the house? Is there? And
because we grew up being told to, because we grew up with a generation who had natural, there was baking and there was everything made that wasn't processed, Cara. And then there was like the sweetie jelly generation, and then all the additives and all the ultra processed. And then we were told we were getting really fat and there's an obesity epidemic. And then we were told, and so we're kind of like dentists and like, nutritionists, like, your kid is, so we're in this over-informed, over-information overload where we're trying to protect our kids for their health and their skin and their teeth and their, little bodies. But you're also saying, well, it's going to backfire. I'm freaking out.
Well, do you know what? You've hit the nail on the head. There's so much information. We never had to contend with this when, years ago, as in parents weren't listening to all these reels and these videos put up about good food, bad food, and what to feed your kids and what not to. At the end of the day, like, my name is on Instagram, it is Living Intuitively. And there has to be a bit of intuition around it. Like, we do know how to feed our children. Like, most of us, grown adults, well educated. Now, obviously, okay, there's another cohort that don't have the money to education, don't have the money to good food, or maybe to nutritional knowledge. But for the most part, we're well educated. We know what to feed our children and what not to. But So my approach isn't about giving kids what they want all day long, whenever they want. Like intuitive eating is about teaching your kids their hunger, their fullness, their satisfaction. Yeah. How to respect their body, how to move intuitively, and how to listen to their bodies and not what they're being told to eat. So in my house, and you know, the way that all my trainings would be in the intuitive eating space would be that it's something called the division of responsibility by a wonderful dietitian called Ellen Satir, who's massive in the field of disordered eating and recovery. And she would say that, okay, and I know you have Orla Walsh in the podcast, and she would advocate this as well, is that you are in control of what you give the child, of where and of when. So be it you want to give your child the food on a beach, you want to give it to them on the hill, picnic style, or around a table. When is, you know, the times during the day, but it is absolutely up to your child how much or how little they eat. So none of this around the table. If you can, one more spoon. No, you can't have the dessert because you need another spoon. And I was on Laura Means Wellness podcast, and she tried it that night and she said it was a game changer.
It is a game changer.
I think what everyone needs to hear is that doesn't mean that my kids are perfect eaters, anything but like they love, Finn loves sweet food.
You were saying this, yeah.
And I say it all my webinars, he is my greatest science experiment because I have had to learn to back off. And I always say to a parent, is it your agenda or is it the child's agenda?
Of course it's your agenda.
Yeah. Oh my God, they're going to, you know, are they going to put on weight? Are they going to, their teeth going to be wrecked?
Are they spotty and unhappy and hormone? Like, what am I doing?
And like the kids are so happy. They're so healthy. They do lots of activities. Now, you know, they do live in slim bodies because, you know, it's genetics.
It's genetic.
And my dad as well. But at the end of the day, like they do actually have quite a variety of food, and they do have a lot more sweet stuff than I would have been comfortable with a few years ago. Finn especially, the girls are kind of growing up now, but
they're over it.
Yeah, they got 9 eggs for Easter, like 9 Easter eggs, and there's still about 6 there.
Sickening, yeah.
But if I restricted them in any way, those eggs would be gone and they would be up in their bedrooms.
In the bedroom, yes.
Like my mum, I know she was wonderful, God rest her soul, but we were heavily restricted food. Now, she was, I mean, everything was on the menu during the week, as in there was no cutting carbs or anything like that. Okay. But we weren't allowed sweets during the week.
Same. But I think that was also the 90s and noughties, correct?
Yeah, but then
you'll get your treat on a Saturday, or there was people who went to church, for instance, that would get jellies after church. Now, we didn't, but I know it was you'd look forward to that. But it did mean you became obsessed, because when I got a tuck shop in secondary school, boy, was I there.
Yeah, me too. And that's what I was going to say, is I remember going to the Panto from Carlo. So we're going all the way up in the bus. You had all the bag of sweets because they gave you a bag of them.
Funny.
And I was
do you remember that?
vomiting on the way home.
But do you remember that?
You know, I know.
A bag of shite on a bus which is moving, and for 2 hours with a bunch of stinky kids. How would you not get sick?
Yeah. Whereas if they gave you like one or two or three things every day, 100%. You would have had the same amount as that
like
bag.
A little bit of like a chocolate, or have your biscuit, or have your... Yeah. I love how you're so grounded, and I love how you're saying he's my science experiment. You've had to back the fuck off. Like... Finn asked for jelly, I'll give him a few. I'm not going to give him 3 bags of jellies, but he'll let him have his fix.
Yeah, and his fix might be higher than I'm comfortable with sometimes. But again, division of responsibility. I control how much. He is in charge of how much or how little. Or sorry, I control what I give him. He's in charge of how much or how little. Like an example was yesterday after lunch. He came and I said, can I have something sweet? And I was like, sure, I knew this is coming. Because what I do, and I know I said this on the last one, is I'll do a plate and I'll put like his toasty, I'll put his raw pepper, I'll put his bits of fruit, and then I'll put something sweet. And he wanted more sweet stuff. And I was like, that's okay. He only had 4 jellies. I'll give him 4 more. Then he said, can I have 6 more? No, there's 4. I want 6 more. It's okay to say no. Like, you are the parent.
Okay.
But I just said, I'm going to give you 4 now, and then I'll give you some more jellies tomorrow.
Great.
I'm not restricting him. I'm still giving him as much as I think he needs to get that kind of hit without being an asshole.
Yeah.
And then I'll give them tomorrow. Now, on the way home from school, I had said to the girls, I'll get you an ice pop on the way home. So I went in to get ice burgers, and I was like, well, I'm not going to not give him one. Yeah. So I gave it to him as well. He had 2 bites, handed it back to me. It's too cold. And that's him now, because he's not restricted. He's listening to his tummy
100%.
Instead of thinking I have to eat the whole ice cream because she's not going to give me anything else. And then he had a little bit of egg after his dinner last night.
Great.
But he had a whole bowl of bolognese with about 5 different veg in. I'm happy to give him some chocolate egg after. I'd want that. So what's different about him?
I feel like your approach is just spot. It's why I wanted you on. I feel like you've just... And I know this... Sorry, Cara. I know this is a mountain of work you've gone through. This is a process. This is healing. This is getting better. And like, I loved when you said to me once, of course you can recover from this illness, right?
Yeah.
I think it's so interesting that you were given two gorgeous girls, right? I think that is interesting for me too, because I definitely grew up in a time of disordered eating and restriction and body comparison, and also a lot of unhealthy friends who were going through awfully sad things. And so I'm in that now, and I have two daughters, no boy. And I love, you know, you're like, you just say they are in a slim body. This is how they are. It's genetically how they look. They're athletic or whatever. Has it been, and I mean, you can be honest here, one of the biggest challenges in your parenting journey, having two daughters, when you went through such hell and were so, I mean, Cara's story, we had it on another podcast, and it's well documented, was hell, right? And has caused you a lot of pain and suffering and illness. And is that something that you're now, is it a fight for you every day, never to let them, like you said, we don't talk about bodies, they don't have hang-ups, they're not restricted. Is that one of your greatest accomplishments if you get through this time?
Well, yeah, because they have so much to contend with now. Like, even if you do think about Instagram or any of the social media and the reels out there on good food, bad food, perfectionism, they're going to pick that up in schools because other kids are hearing it from their parents. But I will hang strong and say, actually, the least important thing about you is your body and what you eat. Like, there is an obsession around food, and it's a tiny part. Like, there's 10 parts to the self. It's career, you know, friendships, family. There's lots of different parts. One of them is food, and at the moment, everything is about that and what the body looks like. So if there's any kind of goal in my life, it's to try and help my kids feel good enough exactly as they are. And Darcy, and I know you've said about Gia, your eldest one as well, she will be my concern. And I can't sit here and say she's never going to have it, because I think all it takes is for somebody to say the wrong thing, stress or hormones. She has the same personality traits as me, or death in the family. So I can't prevent it, but I will do everything in my power to help her stay strong in herself and know that she is really, you know, one in a million, I suppose, you know.
I think it can take one comment.
One thing I say to the girls, to my daughters, is I say, never comment on somebody else's body. Like, just don't do it. And that might help parents or mums, dads, kids out there, because, you know, if, let's say you comment on somebody's weight, that they've lost weight, the first thing they feel like is that I have to keep it this way.
I wasn't great last week.
Maybe I wasn't great the way I was, you know. Or, you know, I mean, nobody comments if somebody's gained weight now. That's very old generation.
Yeah.
But again, it is, and I just say it is actually none of your business what somebody else looks like. Because I did say this to you on the phone, is that in the school, there was a little girl in Abby's class. They were all lifting them, like picking them up and lifting them. They said, oh, I don't mind picking up Abby. She's really light, whatever. And that would kind of go off Abby's head because she's the second child, doesn't care. But the other little girl, they said, we're not lifting her up because she's too heavy. And I thought, oh my God, if that was Darcy, how would that land in her? That could literally be the start of her trying to...
It is. It's 3 or 4 triggers, and they're really minor, as you've said.
Yeah.
Someone saying you're heavy, someone saying you're not good enough. It's like your career. It's like, you know, being the stupid one in the house or the funny. The labels, we've got to be so careful. Like you were saying, my children live in slim bodies.
Yeah.
You didn't say they're really skinny and perfect. And you said they live in this because that's how they are. It's their bones. It's their structure. Great.
Yeah. And actually, that's what I would say about the other way, is that somebody's living in a larger body. I mean, it's not that they're, you know, there's certain words that I know that some people like to, you know, it's...
they don't mind fat.
No. But for me, I just think with the kids, you know, it could be used in the wrong way. It could be taken up in the wrong way. But not only on the size of somebody's body, I also say to them, don't comment on anybody else's food. Because there was one little boy in Darcy's class, and she was having ham in her sandwich for lunch. And she doesn't actually normally have it because she doesn't really like it. But I said, do you want to try something different? Are you not sick of cheese? You're not sick of hummus? You're not, you know. So anyway, she had it, and he started saying, Daddy pig, Daddy pig, Daddy pig. Now, Abby would have told him where to go. She literally would have said, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas Darcy, she goes, you just put me off my lunch and wouldn't eat it. And she came home roaring because she was so hungry and she felt there was something wrong with her. So I do say to them, because there's a lot of things out there about good and bad food, you know, some people will hear in their home that a certain type of food is bad. You could say that, your child could say that to somebody else in their lunchbox. They're super sensitive and they take that on. That's what happened with the 6-year-old. And it took her mum nearly a year to convince her that ice cream was okay to have at 6.
I'll be naked and my daughter will go squishy bum bum, right? So she's smacking my ass or punching it or like commenting. Loves to comment on my body. Cara loves it because she's 7. She doesn't know good, bad, and different. She's just like, that's a squishy booby. Drives me up particularly when I'm trying to get out the door and I'm not feeling that hot and I'm trying to put my jeans on and like, fuck off. Like, it's like you've got your very own devil on your shoulder. But she doesn't. She just loves me. And she's like, squishy bum, I love your squishy bum. I'm like, please stop saying that. We're just going to be kind. I am being kind because she doesn't, you know. And then she'll go down to the dog and give the dog a hug, who's massive. And she'll go, you big squishy fatty dog. And again, I don't make a thing of it because she just loves that Tori's this big squish rocket. Yeah. And so again, I'm trying not to do the like, don't call name, because she just loves soft, yummy, cuddly. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's the wording and the use of words and the bad food, good food. It's just shit show.
I know, but it's funny when you said that about the squishy or the soft.
Yes,
that, like, you know, in yoga we have, and in life we have this thing called yin and yang. You know, and yang is the masculine, that's really muscly and, you know, that kind of testosterone, go, and then the yin is soft and feminine and not that women are passive, but like, let's say in a yoga pose it's passive. And it's just when you said the word soft there, I was like, but why aren't we embracing that a bit more? Like,
because we're meant to be cut,
we're meant to go,
abular,
rush,
hard.
Yes. Yeah, but actually that's not even what men love, you know. And when my little girl, or Abby, when I'm lying down, she goes, oh mommy, your tummy's really bloated, it's really soft. And I'm like, yeah, because I had the 3 of you in it. And you hear loads of people say, it's just to constantly come back to them that it's a good thing.
Oh, I always say, but I grew you and Simone in my belly and pushed you out. And she's like, oh, and I'm like, that's why it's a little bit stretchier than it would have been, Gia. And she's like, but I don't say it like you ruined my body, which would have been very much the old generation. Like, look what you did. That was so awful. Yeah. Because you felt like you did something wrong.
I know. And kids are so inquisitive. They just want to know, why are you wearing those underwear that go up your bum? You know, that's
Oh, my mom, she's always like, why is the line? I'm like, it's a thong, Gia, it's so that there's no panty. I'm like, why am I explaining this? Engineering, clothes engineering. Can I throw a bomb at you? And you might be like, that's crazy, Bex.
Yeah, go for it.
So I think you're just a goddess, right? And that is my view of you. And it's not just the aesthetic that you're just poised and beautiful and tall and slim, any of that. I just think you are a wonderful person who embodies that. Do you, and this is again a bit controversial, ever think about the people who are online viewing you and listening to this narrative and this wonderful, the teachings and looking at you, who are not in the space that you're in, where you're learned, you've had a journey, you keep yourself fit, you mind yourself, you nourish yourself, and they're in a really vulnerable spot, perhaps with their weight, their imposter syndrome, their body dysmorphia, they're very deeply unhappy and they're not in your place. And they go, well, it's well for Cara. How do you think about that or process that sometimes, and how do you counteract that thought?
And I've had that said before from clients sitting across from you in the room, and all I can say is that I've lived in a smaller body, I've lived in a bigger body, you know, not a massively bigger body than now, but you know, I have been somebody who's binge eaten and not been able to get out of that, and I mean binge eaten every 3-4 days. So I have that feeling of, you know, hatred in my own body. But I have worked very hard to understand, or try and understand, the mindset of somebody that is in a larger body. You know, that doesn't mean that I have the lived experience, but I have worked with many clients. I have a client at the moment who's in a larger body, who's on Ozempic because she needs to be on it. Because to be able to even go for a walk, like she can't even go for a walk. She has to buy 2 seats on a plane. We don't see a huge amount of it over here. It was very hard when she did say to me that I'm on Ozempic, because I would obviously be working with everybody not to go on it. But for her, for health reasons, and to be able, as I said, to have any quality of life, she has to go on it. So I've worked with people of, you know, in different size bodies and feeling different ways about themselves. But even though, you know, you're talking about body size, I still, that's my main core belief, was I am not good enough exactly as I am. And that's very much so not an outside feeling. It's very much an inside feeling. You know, I've had a lot of trauma. I've had a lot of really serious injuries and things go wrong, but I've worked through them because I do feel that there's a massive ability for the body to heal. And there's a wonderful book called, it's either The Body Holds the Score or The Body Knows the Score.
Yeah. That's one of my that is an incredible book. I only
It's
read
an
that
incredible
recently and I
book.
was like, whoa, all the traumas.
All the traumas. And it is mindset, right? Like, I mean, there was one girl at the weekend who was saying how she had body dysmorphia and how she had massive imposter syndrome and didn't want to talk and didn't want to share. And she talked and she shared and she was giving people hugs at the end and she's booked herself into another retreat. So it is mindset, you know. But I do know that I've had clients say that to me before, and I've worked my hardest to try and get into not that person's head, but to work with different people in different size bodies.
Brilliant answer, because I know Cara and have been to just your yoga classes during COVID, not even the retreats, just going up for a simple 40 minutes. And I think, as you know, in my lowest of times when we were trying to conceive and losing babas and very poor mental health with fertility worries and then just lots, and I would just go because I just thought I need to go somewhere to switch off for the 45 minutes, and that's how I saw it, and I'd sit at the back of the class and do my bit.
Yeah.
And I know with Cara there's such a relatability that there is no lauding it over, there is no I am better than you because I can stretch for 10 hours. You're just such an all-encompassing, gorgeous figure. So you've answered that, but I would also reiterate and reestablish anyone who's really like scared to approach someone who they see as like some fitness influencer. Cara is not that.
Yeah.
This is a super bright woman who offers so much. And like her courses, when I see them go up, I'm like, I need to get on this for my daughters so that we never, and we're going to face issues anyway, Cara, like we are going to face speed bumps, but so that they're just a little bit more proud of themselves. I was never proud of myself or my body. Even winning sporting awards or cricket captain or even running or doing well, even coming out of having babies and being back in the gym, I'm still never proud of my achievements with my body, because I'll always hate it, because this is a lifelong lesson, you know. But the work you're doing, what is your aim?
I think just what you said there even really hit home, is that like I never, you know, you said I'll always hate my body. We'll always hate our body if we say the word always.
Yeah.
Like a massive thing that I teach my clients is affirmations. And there was a girl in one of my recoveries, like I was in recovery in Canada, in the Rutland, in Marino, so my dad spent a fortune. Wow. But what really hit home was, I know there was a girl that came down from Donegal to this Tuesday evening group that we had. There's maybe 20 in the room with different eating disorders, and the radio was broken on her car, so she had no choice but to be with herself for like the 4 or probably 5 hours at that time, because the roads weren't amazing. And she literally used affirmations the whole way back up to Donegal. She had, what are they called, the little sticky notes as well around the Post-its. Car. And she had said that she felt that was a major influence on her recovery. Fully free now, fully in love with herself and her body. And she came through an awful lot. Even, you know, she ended up being gay, and that was even a big thing for her. But I do feel the way we talk to ourselves, like if I say I'm going to still be 80, as I said, you know, not eating a scone, not eating this, not doing this, we will be. Whereas if we kind of try and approach with, I don't love my body, but I like and respect it, or I'm safe in my body, you know, it is the way we talk to ourselves. And our kids will see it, our kids will hear it. Let's teach ourselves and them how to talk a little bit nicer about ourselves.
Is it bad out there at the moment with disordered eating?
Yeah, it is. It is, yeah. Now, I think COVID was a massive one where it got worse. But now, like even for example, I teach on a Tuesday and a Thursday night in a yoga studio above a gym. And like it is a great thing to see lads 16 and above in the gym and not hanging outside a shop, but there is more obsession. Like I remember being in a sauna there recently with 3 18 or 19-year-old lads, and they were all GA players, you know, and they were talking about how they were giving up coffee, and I was like, you know, it's hard not to eavesdrop in a sauna with that can fit.
It's a very intimate space.
Yeah, and they were talking about how they were giving up coffee, and anyway, we got chatting, and I was like, oh, how come giving up coffee? And they were like, oh, I was listening to a podcast. It's not very good for your cortisol. And I was like, oh, sake, go out and have a pint and score a few women, will you? So there's
the actual 18 or 19. Can you imagine?
I know.
At 18, 19 back in our day, I don't even think they knew what condoms were.
Yeah.
Mostly puking in parks, cortisol, like, and then I started teaching in a boys' secondary school where they were really good at rugby, and it was all about creatine and stuff, and I'd be like, a watty, like I didn't even know. shut up and have a coffee. Shut up. And that makes me just enraged. And you see, get over yourselves.
There's a lot more drugs around than even drink, because they're worried about what they look
drugs
like.
And drink.
So I think a massive thing at the moment, and now it's going backwards, was about the strong look and the boys in the gym building up muscle. Unfortunately now with Ozempic and as it's skinny talk, it's now going back to the skinny look. So it's nothing new. It's been here forever, since the 1930s, probably way before. But there's definitely going to be a shift again from the whole protein diet to like nothing, so.
And Cara is the expert on this and has told you don't give your children a phone until they're like 22. Like, please though, jokes aside, we need to collectively find our tribe. Like, we're doing it out in Wicklow. We're doing a really great job of hammering that home. We're trying, Cara, but like, we're all fucking addicted. Let's not make our kids addicted.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cara O'Loughlin, follow her Living Intuitively with Cara. My God, why do I always ruin your name?
I actually prefer Cara. That's to everyone out there now.
Change it. It's like when I'm Rachel the whole way through school. I was like, I'll just let Mr. McClure call me Rachel. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. Loved it.